We have our very first image of the new Ideas Botanical Garden set, and this is massive. In fact, I want to talk about 3 key areas that we see a difference between this one image and the original Ideas submission. The first one is the length and the height. Check out the original submission. You can see in this image that it is 48 studs wide. It also has very tall, transparent paneling and the different levels of the roof. If we take a look at the actual image that we've seen so far, this botanical garden set is 64 studs wide. That is 2 32 by 32 base plates. That is 16 studs longer than the Natural History Museum, as well as the rumored and somewhat leaked X Mansion. So that's a very, very long building. That's going to imply that it's going to be an absolutely massive footprint. In terms of the height, notice that on the official image here that we see, the panels for the roof are not nearly as tall. They use shorter panels, which reduces the height. Now, the effects of this increasing in the width and reduction in the height means that it doesn't look quite as smushed together, and I think that's an improvement over the original. The second key difference that we notice is how they handle a lot of the transparent glass windows from the original to the actual set. So the Idea submission used a lot of 1x6x5 transparent panels and other corner panels that are tall. This one has more blocky edges and uses a lot of the 1x2x3 and 1x2x2 flat front windows. It looks to be like they are in sand green, meaning this is going to be very similar in color scheme to the Friends Botanical Garden set, which I think is an interesting decision. But you get a ton of these windows, and this different facade look, I think, really pops nicely. Although I do like the original. If you look at it, there are some really old school window pieces used in that set. The third key difference that I think is important is the lack of modular compatibility, or at least the lack of direct modular compatibility. If you notice on the original Idea submission, there are Technic bricks, one on either side of the set. If you take a look closely at this image of the actual set, you can see that the corner is introduced before you get to the very edge of the base plate. Now, that is one important element when it comes to modular compatibility. Not saying this wouldn't fit in a modular city if you made no changes to it, but keep in mind, if you want it right up next to other buildings or parks that are connected by those Technic pins, this is not going to have that as released. But the edges of the building do go pretty close to the edge, and you might be able to modify that a little bit to put some gardens and some other things, maybe a raised garden, flower bed, or something like that with the Technic pins without having to use too many pieces. Speaking of flowers, another key element of the modular compatibility is the lack of sidewalk. We've got a long row of flowers, tons of minifigs, just having a blast out there by the front of that building, but it's not going to work as well with existing modular buildings. Again, something that might be able to be adapted pretty easily by removing some of those flowers, putting in a sidewalk, depending on the frontage. It's hard to tell without all of the official high-res images. So the bottom line, 3 key differences that I noticed: the increase in length and height, also the different detailing when it comes to the windows, and finally the lack of direct modular compatibility. However, as we get more images of this, and make sure you subscribe and pay attention to all of our videos, that way you can see when those images are released. We'll be doing a detailed breakdown of the set, but in terms of modular compatibility, there is a lot to possibly work with here. I'm excited to see what this looks like in more detail. So thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.